Hi, ladies. I'm really glad to see you all here. Our topic today is why we need more women in tech and what challenges women face when they step into technology industry. And before we start, let's first introduce ourselves. What make us, what brings us all here today. Um, Please share a few details about your professional experience, mission, and career path. And as I have the mic, I will start first. My name is Evelina Atanasova-Genchev, and I'm a senior marketing and business growth consultant at New Trend Agency. I'm also an ambassador for Women in Tech Bulgaria and founder of Digital Kids. And I have turned it into a life mission to attract more women into the ICT sector and support their economic empowerment and welfare. I'll be your moderator today. So, Dimi, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here with you all today. My name is Dimi Ilieva, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at MyPOS, that's spelled MyPOS, which is a financial services company serving Europe. I'm also a member of the board of directors since this year. In my spare time, if there's any, I'm also a business coach and mentor, really enjoying helping and mentoring women entrepreneurs, especially. And also really glad and happy to be the co-founder of the Bulgarian chapter of Women in Tech together with Evelina and Justine. And of course, last but not least, I'm a mother of a 10 years old son, and that's in sum for me.
Eve, would you like to share a bit about you?
Yes, thank you. So hello, my name is Evelina Nikolova. I have over 20 years of experience in the technology corporate world, and I'm presently occupying a leadership position at Technology Services Unit of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. I'm also board member at the Bulgarian Association for Innovation, Business Excellence Services and Technology. Despite my educational background has not been related to engineering or computer science, my entire professional career has been closely tied to the technology. And over time, it has turned into my life mission to support young professionals, male and female, to develop their potential, their leadership skills, and to navigate their career in technology. In recent years, I have been part of various forums and leadership programs focusing on women's personal and professional development, empowerment, building knowledge, skills, and attitudes that allow women to be successful in leadership roles. So I guess that's all you need to know about me at this point. Thank you.
Marina, it's your turn.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really happy because this is the way we can truly make the difference. I'm founder and CEO and Chief Design Officer of From Creative Solution. It's a next-gen user experience, user interface design company. We've established so far, and we are building and constructing the software of the future. I'm artist as well and entrepreneur by education and heart, and I'm also a happy mom of a 7 years old son.
And Violetta. Thank you, Marina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Violetta, and I'm thrilled and excited to be here with you today. It's a great honor. For almost a decade, I'm working for IBM, and I have a very solid background in finance and operations, as being Southeast operations leader for a couple of years. But then I took this really, let's say, exciting adventure and went to maternity leave. So currently I have a very, let's say, challenging maternity experience with this passionate 3-year-old lady. And currently, as a position, I'm leading the university relations agenda for IBM Bulgaria, and also I'm diversity and learning country focal. So saying that, as you see, I'm very nervous and excited, but I think it's really important that we lay out our key strategy and best practices on how we can overcome the challenge and secure that we have room for women and they have the seat on the table, locally or globally, doesn't matter. So this is from my side.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention why we start our discussion with a clarification, why we talk about women in tech but not men, because it's really important. And I wanted to quote the Global Gender Gap Index, which measures differences between men and women in 4 key areas: health, education, economics, and politics, which says that the gender gap in the economic participation and opportunity remains the second largest of the 4 key gaps tracked by the index. There is a persistent lack of women in leadership positions, and the proportion of women among skilled professionals increases, but really slow. Meanwhile, empowering women and improving the efficiency of their work is crucial for reducing global poverty. Mounting evidence confirms that women improved economic and produces many positive economic and welfare outcomes for children, families, and societies. And again, countries with less inequality in men's and women's employment and education benefit from lower child mortality, as well as more transparent business and faster economic growth. So, why is it so important for companies to have more women on board? And what's the ratio in your organization will be my first question. So, being part of global companies, I'm interested to know how is there. Vilja, would you like to start first?
So basically, we embrace employees no matter the faith, no matter the color, no matter the gender. So it's really important that we realize that having diverse teams and diverse leadership teams, actually it means better performance related to the company. So I believe that if we have diverse teams and we have a secure seat on the table for women, this means more creativity, better ideas, innovation, and also just embrace the fact that your company will be better and will perform better for any perspective. So I think that we are working to, let's say, to be better every day, and we're transforming as a company with almost 100-year heritage and really well-developed diversity and inclusion agenda. Yet we're still working every day to empower women and to make the environment, let's say, better for them to grow, to develop their skill, and of course to be on leadership role. So from my point of view, leadership team needs to empower women to grow, and on the other hand, women should be confident enough that they deserve the seat on the table. So I think that this is the most important thing when you are having a diverse teams in your company.
Dimi, would you like to share something additional to Vili?
Sure. I cannot but agree with everything that was already said. Of course, when I speak about the topic why more women into tech, I speak in my personal quality, which is not necessarily the position of the company I'm part of. But when it comes to why more women, for me, it's basically maybe 3 main reasons why. Because more women, first of all, means more equality. And by equality, I mean being equal in status, in rights, in opportunities as well. So I think it's a universal value, and we don't need to explain why more equality. Then why more women? Because more women into teams and into companies bring also more diversity. Just like with race, age, whatever other, or gender, it does mean more diversity. It's diversity of ideas, of perceptions, of opinions. So this brings more strength to the teams, because the more ideas, the more positions, the more point of views, you're practically better off. And then women are known for thinking outside the box, I would say, because we all the time need to juggle. And all of us started this call representing ourselves as professionals, some of us as moms or personal development coaches or mentors. We are used to be many things at the same time. So one woman more in your team may actually mean many more people into the team. And then the third why more women to me is because this means healthier teams and healthier companies. I'd suggest that women basically think in the long term for not just themselves, but for the community, even for the smallest community units as the family, but also the teams, the companies, and the wider audience, like the community and the society. So having more women into the teams bring all this diversity, quality, and healthiness to our organizations. And I'm really happy to say that now I'm part of a company where I see almost 50% of women on all management levels, from entry to middle and senior management. In our board of directors, I sit together with another lady, so it makes 2 women out of 5 members of the board. And I'm really, really proud of this fact. It hasn't always been the case in other companies, but in this one, I'm happy to say it.
Eva, how is it in Hewlett-Packard Enterprise? What's your experience there in the last 20? You said 20 years.
Well, I have not spent 20 years in Hewlett-Packard Enterprise for sure, but it really differs. So we in Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, there are strong cultural shift towards diversity and inclusion, and I think this is happening across the board in the corporate world. So we are not being any different to that. Why are we doing that? Because women have to be included. They simply have to. They are half of the population. They are resourceful. They are smart. They have great ideas, and not to forget, they represent half of the consumers of the technology service. So as consumers, we women would like to have this technology designed by women for women. This is how we can better relate to it, how it may have features that will serve us better. So I think the technology companies, they started to understand more and more the importance of including women into their businesses, into their management boards, and the whole value of harnessing their potential, their ideas brings to the organizations. And also they acknowledge the energy balance that women create on the field and in the boardrooms. So yeah, in Hewlett-Packard, we are looking to include more and more women, not just on the lower and middle level professional roles, but also in senior leadership and executive positions. And I would say that ratio is around 20-22% right now, but the target there is a very defined target in the next 5 years for this ratio to go up.
So theoretically, I totally agree with everything that you said, but when we see the statistics, again, the Global Gender Gap Report published in March this year says that another generation of women will have to wait to gender parity as the impact of COVID-19 pandemic continues to be felt. Closing the global gender gap has increased by a generation from 99 point years to 135 point years, which means that looking at the statistics, only 12% of the experts employed in the cloud technologies are women, only 15% of the engineers are women, and only 26% of the occupied experts in big data and AI are women. So we all are quite successful in our profession. That's why I'm so glad that we are here, and we all can share probably something from our experience, any kind of tips and tricks. How first did you overcome this stigma? How did you develop your career in technology? Because the global gap says there aren't women in tech, and meanwhile we are 6 quite successful in tech, and probably it will be interesting to our audience to share how did it happen. I'd like to start with Marina, who is a female entrepreneur, so even bigger challenge, not only women in tech but also self-made entrepreneur. And I'm sure that Marina is working on daily basis with programmers, any kind of designers. So most of the tech people are actually guys. So how did you start it, and how did you overcome this stigma to be a successful female entrepreneur in tech? What's your story, Marina?
I'm really from this 1%, single founders. It's really in this 1%. With braveness and strong will and never be afraid. And I think that we can all do this. Every woman has this insight. The question is, there are exactly some beliefs and some wrong understandings of what is the role and what is the place of the women in tech. So I would say with braveness, with strong will, with good sense of humor, with never stop learning, curiosity, effectiveness, and all this, I think. Always having fun as well. But really, since I'm a child, I was leading all the games. My mommy was telling that when I was a kid, I was just setting the rules and telling what kind of game to choose. And so in my case, it's natural, it's easy. And I'm working with men, with programmers, with freelancers. Every day, it's so easy, it's so natural. I think most important is to set up some rules, to have a process. And then when you have this motivation and this power, it doesn't matter the gender, because people are listening to you, they start doing what you want to do, and start believing in what you're saying. And this is the way I'm doing this, with passion, heart, and organization. With organization.
Did you hear people talking to you? So probably it's not for you, or it's meant to be so, or it's something that you're used to it, and it's not part of the story. Let me share some statistics, because I've been excited when I saw them. There are only 19% of women in entry-level and mid-level roles in the tech industry. So only 19% of the women are there. At the senior level, women occupy only 16% of the positions, and only 10% of the women hold the executive level positions. So we have 3 executive level women leaders here, and I'd like to hear more about how did you achieve to be among these 10% of successful women on leadership position.
Well, I've never put any kind of borders, and I simply know how to do it, and simply really don't know how to answer this question, because I think it's coming from my personality and from my type of spirit and person. But it's really a question of braveness. and breaking the rules. Because and also curiosity, and also because when somebody is telling me this is not for you, this is something you cannot manage, it's difficult, only men are doing this is tech, this is too engineering question, and I'm always at the opposite side. What are you telling me? So everyone from us can do this, so it's so natural, it's so
Dare to dream big.
yeah, definitely.
Eve, what can you add to this? Yeah.
I can relate with what Marina just described. And quite honestly, knowing that I'm part of the statistics that you previously shared, I've reflected a lot about what has made me successful. I have spent my entire career working among men at both individual contributor and leadership roles. Situations where I have been the only female person in the meeting room or the conference hall are not rare to this day. And what I attribute my success to is that at work, I honestly never labeled myself as a woman. I've rather looked at myself as a professional who does her job equally as good as men. Have always tried to participate in men's conversations at professional or social level, have not been shy to speak up and share opinions during discussions or promoting my ideas. In short, I never felt considered or labeled myself as not a man, different than men, but rather played the game. Promoted my contributions and demonstrated integrity and impeccable work ethics. And over time, that worked for me.
This is exactly.
Damian, how was it with you?
Again, pretty similar things I hear from the stories of both Marina and Evelina, and maybe that's actually something we need to pay attention to, this kind of repetitive talks that we send here. To me, if I have to name one thing as a success factor, that would be self-confidence. And I'm absolutely aware that this is not built overnight. And this comes with maturity, with experience, with failures, of course. But once you know your worth and what you bring to the table, then there are no limits where you want to go, and no one has the right to put you limits. You are the only one that can limit yourself. So self-confidence and knowing your worth is definitely what helped me. I've never imagined, just like Evelina said, I've never imagined myself as a woman in my profession or in the boardroom. I actually never thought of myself as a tech woman or tech girl either. But once I realized that what I've been doing for more than 15 years, since the very beginning of digital marketing, I've been into tech. It's a fact. I have a background which was never related to engineering or maths or any technology, but I ended technology because I think we're all end up there today. And I'm just as confident as any other member of the team because I know my value and I know what I bring to the team. And that's my success factor.
So the statistic says that probably one of the main reasons why we have so less women in tech and so less girls in tech is that parents and people around just label it like it's a work job or it's a man job. And I'm mentioning because Violeta have a lot to add to this, how we can attract more girls into the tech industry at a quite early age and make it a standard to build a career in tech despite of your sex actually. Really, how do you take it?
So, ladies, fully agree with your point of view that it's all about being confident and no labels. I mean, fight, it's unconscious bias thing we should overcome. However, when it comes to bringing up the new color, it's really different. We have to be really careful what is the next generation and how it can grow. So I would like to lay out that, first of all, they have to be flexible and they should stop making stereotypes all the time. So yes, girls, we have to choose to work with young girls in high schools because they need a lot of support and more attention in order to be focused and on the IT and to understand at an early age that actually to work the topics that the topics they can cover in the IT sector is something exciting. So, for example, I do believe that most of the big companies are having their university relations agenda, but we also need to focus on the youngsters at the high schools. And for example, you can check out our global platforms, which are called the so-called open PTech platforms, and this is free data if you want to get into AI or cloud or quantum. No boundaries for you girls. Just check what all companies, no matter if IBM or other companies, we have huge platforms with software which is free, courses which are free, because the most important thing that we can tell parents and their girls is to not only to raise confident girls, but also to broaden their horizons and use everything the technology can deliver to them. So we are working with high schools to develop also their mindset. So on one hand, students can reach out to the big companies' platforms and check out what they offer. But on the other hand, we do a lot of mentoring projects so that we raise them in, let's say, better suited environment and broaden their horizons without any boundaries. And also we've done also with Eva, with Evelina, a project called Cyber Day for Girls. And it was a content for young ladies only. And we introduced them to the cyber security world, because actually the high school is where young ladies decide that they need to go to another road, another direction. So be bold, check out your options, work with mentors, and we can help anytime upon request, of course, for additional information or advice. But really, it's all about you. Be bold and explore. Be curious.
Talking about exploration, no boundaries, and all the opportunities that sorry, that the technologies provides us. So I have to mention the female entrepreneurship. And female entrepreneurship as an opportunity to dream big and to achieve your dreams. Actually, it's something that Marina mentioned. And again, talking about the statistics, there is a report about the state of European tech published in 2018, which says that venture-backed tech companies with all-male founding team receive up to 93% of the capital invested, compared to the female-led companies, which receive only 2% of the global business investments. This means that despite of all the projects by the European Commission, and despite everything that we're talking about, there is a huge gap, and there is a challenge for women, for female, to attract venture capitals, to attract money. Even it said that the female businesses are undercapitalized and use less external financing, relying more on personal saving and spousal funds. They typically attract less early stage equity investment. So it's a challenge, and so we can talk a lot about it, but I'd like first to hear what's your experience of Marina, and what's your story within these years about your company, and how did you succeed to develop it without the venture capital money? As far we understand, is mostly the story.
Well, I really started by my own with 50 euros in my pocket. And I was not sure, is it a good idea to open a company and a bank account or to buy new shoes? This is a funny story, but we really started from zero, and now we are operating on 15 markets, and we have 230 clients and more growing. It's difficult, but again, if you are doing what you love, if you are a good professional, there are no borders. And then the men in venture capital, they're speechless. You go with results. This is my formula of success. I simply I have results, and I go to them, and I'm showing these results, and that's the way it works with clients and with new partners and everything. So I think that this is again a question of bravery, and that all the women founders and startups who need investments and would like to raise capital, they need to package what they're doing quite well, to go to investors, be brave, talk to them in open way, and also it's you should try 100 times. It won't happen from first, second, third, fifth, and so on. So yeah, this is my experience, but we've never used investment from outside.
So like the Thomas Edison, who said, "I didn't fail 10,000 times, but I found 10,000 ways it's not working." So we know that the entrepreneurship, and it's not a profession, it's not an occupation, it's a mindset, and it's a way of thinking. How do you think the ladies with the global career in global companies, what do you think, whether the entrepreneurship mindset helps you, or it's not, it doesn't fit into a career, developing career?
It's helping you. Before I started my business, maybe I had to share this with you on the previous question, but I was a brand manager of a big IT company. I was leading 10 brands and 1,000 people, and I was, how to say, in the perfect comfort zone. This is something from the inside. If you have this passion, you should follow it. You should go for it. I left the comfort zone. I left everything that I had, and I simply jumped into the unknown with curiosity and bravery, and that's the way. So you keep it here inside.
I believe Billy has something to add to this question. Billy?
So yes, as our first female CEO said once, growth and comfort do not coexist. So basically, no matter if you're working at a global company for a global project, or you're an entrepreneur, you really have to follow your dreams, your passion, and you can also be an entrepreneur and go to a global company. You will be also a very useful resource. So I do believe, and I fully agree with Marina, that it's all about building confidence. Always be upskilled, be competitive, show results, and then the gender doesn't actually matter. You will deserve your place. You will deserve your seat at the table. Thank you, Marina, for laying this out. I also believe that passion and being committed to what you do is actually the key driver to be either to be a woman in technology or to be on a leadership role.
Yeah, I don't believe also that both are opposite. I'm just wondering how do you take it, and whether this entrepreneurship mindset will be helpful to develop a corporate career. So I believe it, but Jimmy, what do you think?
It absolutely does. Absolutely. What the ladies already shared brought many new thoughts to me, but I choose what to share. First of all, about the statistics, I have my own experience being the CMO for my post. We are providing payment services for small businesses in Europe. And more than 70% of all our business clients, who are now more than 120,000, they're men. So more than 70% of those entrepreneurs are men.
Surprisingly.
Yes, so this has something to tell us for sure. So the statistic is there, and I don't need a study on this. I just run the annual survey among clients, and I see how this changes very, very slowly and slightly. But talking about confidence and the entrepreneurship mindset, I think it's worth looking into what is building your confidence, actually, because otherwise just preaching be confident, have self-confidence, etc. I know how it is with young girls that I've been mentoring and coaching. It's not something that you build in days or months or even years. But you have to be ready to embrace uncertainty, I think. You have to be ready to embrace failure. And this is not something that girls are usually raised up with. If you remember, probably you will agree or not, but as girls, we've been raised to be perfect, like be gentle, nice, and smiling, always clean, and everything top notch. While I remember my brother and all the boys around, they were supposed to be risk players, to be courageous, to try new things, to disassemble toys and assemble them back. It was okay for them to to break something while trying to fix it. Whereas me as a girl and my friends as girls, we were afraid not to break something. So we may have ideas and, some adventures in mind, but we were supposed to be like the good girls that are perfect. And these stereotypes really need to be addressed. And I totally agree with Violetta that we have this responsibility towards the new generations, but not only the new generations of girls, because I'm raising a boy. And I remember just a month ago, we were studying with him history in third grade. And, the history, the Bulgarian history with all the counts, they're all male. And just suddenly, he asked me, Mom, why there is no woman in all the lessons that we learned in third grade? There is not a single woman. There's just only men. And I was just like, okay, I'm doing some good job here, Because hearing a boy at 10 asking this question was like, okay, there is hope,
Yeah, that would be a question that I wanted to ask you, because I'm raising a boy, you are raising a boy. I know that Evelina also has a boy at home, but what would you say to the parents who are raising girls? Because we know that everything starts from home, and we're talking about how to attract more women and more girls into the ICTA, but still, what should the parents of girls do? what kind of job do they do to support them?
Yeah, well, I'm not really into advices when it comes to parenting, because I think that we all learn, and I wish there was a school for parents, but I think all our wives are kind of school for parenting. But I have a niece now, and I really make sure that there are no boundaries and limits. We play with the cars of my son, with all the toys, whichever she has interest in, because in very early age, kids are actually interested in the same things. It's later on when our society puts the expectations on them and they start, okay, I should like pink and not blue, or I should play with dolls, not with cars or something. But I will definitely make sure to tell her the right stories. And also, I mean, not stories about princesses being saved by a prince, or, you know, I prefer the princesses that build their own castles and invest in their long-term, you know, income, not waiting for the spousal revenue. And I also make sure that I be the right role model for her. I think that's one important thing, because you always need, no matter the age, someone to look up to and be inspired. And I hope that I'll be one of those examples for her.
Eve, I'm interested whether you have some practical tips and tricks how to attract more women into the tech.
Well, how to attract? I think women, especially the young people these days, they are attracted to tech. Technology is fancy, it's interesting, and it gets into people's minds, no matter if they are men or women. So the girls have just to allow themselves to dream big, to know that they can. And I personally am raising a boy as well, so I can't really give a meaningful parental advice on on raising girls, but from my environment and my friends and the people I know in my community who are raising girls, I see that less and less things are off limit for girls these days. Girls are allowed to do more things. They are much more advanced with technology than we were girls at 6 are more advanced at technology than we were in our 20s. And this to me means that there is a shift, definitely a shift in the mindset in our society, that less and less things are labeled as men's work or woman's work or men's responsibility, woman's responsibility. And even in the young couples that I observe, being a manager of a huge and very young team, young men and young women, they partner very well in the household activities as well. So young men are no longer intimidated or just shy or rejecting doing being engaged in cleaning, washing, raising kids and taking care of the children, walking the dog or something like that. All things that previously were very limited to and labeled as women's activities or women's work. So I personally can see this mindset shift in the younger generation. And this is very pleasing for me. This is making me have very high hopes for the representation of women in technology in the next 10 years, let's say.
And Marina?
Always be brave and become a professional, because if you're in top 10, the gender doesn't matter. So for me, this was always most important, to be the best, to be in this top. Okay, not first, this is not possible, and this is also not good for education, for educating any child to say, now you should take a medal, you should be in top 3. No, this is not good. But always in top 10 or top 20. And if you're professional, there are no borders, there are no limits, and you can achieve everything. I truly believe in this.
Mm. I was thinking that while raising my own son, I'm teaching him how to talk about emotions, how to be more empathic to the other people, and never value if any dream should be realized or no. So I'm teaching him to keep trying until he finds what really makes him exciting, what makes him playful with life. Because I've always believed that whether it's a corporate career or it's developing your own business, you have to have fun while doing your job. Yeah, I would add this as a bullet point. I like not the advices, but the bullet points definitely in all of my list. Really, what can you add to it? What could you share with parents of girls and to the young girls?
It's a very hard question, but from mother to daughter, if I have to give her advice, is listen, young lady, you have to stay focused and to follow your guts. If you want to be in the IT industry at some point, let's go get some how to code for kids education. If you want to paint. If you want to do some language courses, fine. But the young lady should follow the guts. And once, but also it's the adult parents are responsible to show them all opportunities. For example, how they would be willing to go to the IT if they're not aware of what is IT at all. And now we're very lucky that we have a lot of companies providing content which is specifically brought to children, and it's let's say designed for kids, so they better understand if this is something that excites them. On the other hand, it's also a company responsibility to give back to the society, and also having those global programs with a lot of content and tutoring and mentoring. And we have, for example, a program for academic ambassadors, where actually our employees, which are ambassadors, are going to universities, and they're first a good example for them, and second, they're delivering content which actually which can engage young students, girls as well, to grow in the IT area. So I do believe that also internally, not only externally, but internally in the corporate world, we need to keep on moving, boosting our agenda, diversity and inclusion agenda, by organizing ourselves and our community. For example, in IBM Bulgaria, we have the so-called Business Resource Group, which is a very powerful tool, a community of women and men. It's not only for women. It's a business resource group of all employees in the company that are willing to give back to society and empower young girls and also young boys, supporting them through their journey. Because, by the way, youngsters nowadays know that they are willing to go to IT or to become painters or modern designers at a very early stage, by the way. So all we can do is to support them. And as being part of the IT industry, we can support this part of the girls and the boys that are willing to strive and give it a shot.
Am I right if I summarize that it's important to be a role model for the young girls, to support them, to experiment wherever they're playing with cars or dolls, to not label them for sure, not labeling what's a man's work and what's women's work, and to give them the freedom to find their desires. Do you have something to add before we close our nice discussion for today?
I would add, and be there when they fail, because it will happen. It will inevitably happen, and because it has happened to me many times, and being raised to be like a perfect girl, I thought if I don't do it right the first time, probably it's not for me. This is bullshit. So when you have someone to tell you, of course you will fail, just get up and get it done. And if there is no seat on a table, because that's what Billy said at the beginning, that we should make sure that there is a seat on the table for women. But if there is no seat on the table, you have ways to go. You can, like we know, bring a folding chair. We've seen this. Then B, you can just change the table. Or 3, in the case of entrepreneurs, just build your own table. So there is always a way, and just don't give up.
Ladies, I think we have come to the end of today's meeting, and I really appreciate the time we spent together, and I really appreciate everything we shared with us and the audience. And I thank you very much for this.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evie.
Thank you all. Honored to be with you on that stage today. Good luck.